Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So in this one, I want to talk about some of the latest updates in the Derek Carr contract situation, everything we know up to this point, and then how that projects into the future. And then based off of what we know, based off of some of these rough numbers, where would Derek Carr stand? Where would Derek Carr stack up in the top 10, top 11 with these said numbers, right? What he's rumored to be getting in the next week or two here. So obviously Aaron Rodgers still needs to be talked about. He's still a massive domino in this whole thing, and Adam Schefter gave his opinion on the matter yesterday. He basically said that he's getting the sense that Rodgers is either going to outright retire or get traded, and by traded he means end up on the New York Jets. Again, it wasn't really a report or anything. He wasn't relaying information out there. And also we have to take into consideration that Ian Rappaport from the NFL Network is pretty much saying the exact opposite. The longer that this thing takes, the more of a chance he's going to remain with the Packers. And then also on top of that, knowing that Rodgers said in the Pat McAfee show that Rappaport and Adam Schefter, neither of those guys know anybody in his inner circle. They don't know him, and that everything that these reporters are gathering, it's either coming from the Packers or somebody else, but it's not coming from Rodgers. It's not coming from his side of it whatsoever. So, in a sense, we're still, all three options are still on the table in my opinion. But let's shift gears and talk about Carr, right? What are some of the latest updates here? First off, we know that Diana Russini from ESPN reported that Carr wants $35 million a season, right? Albert Breer goes on to say, piggybacking off of Russini's point, that he actually could get less, because his original contract with the Raiders, what he was just on, was around $32.9 million. And, teams were hesitant to acquire him, right? And the contract was kind of a big issue. But at the same time, I would push back and say, it is a different story when you have to trade away a draft pick or two. Now, all of a sudden, you might be bidding with another team. Might as well just put your hands up, wait for him to be released. And because Carr had the leverage there, Carr had the no trade clause. We also know that the New Orleans Saints are quote unquote ready to sign Derek Carr. They really want to get something done. They've identified Carr as the number one realistic quarterback option for the team moving forward. And, you can obviously connect a bunch of dots. Derek Carr playing in a dome, NFC South, not that strong of a division. Former head coach and Dennis Allen, and they, say what you want about the Saints and their contract situation, they still have a lot of talent at key positions. So, I do view the Saints as a potential nice landing spot if I put myself in Derek Carr's shoes for a sec. And also, looking at how the Saints have met with him twice. He's checked out the facility. He knows the coaching staff. He's met with ownership. So I think there's obviously a lot of buzz there, but Carr hasn't signed. And another report followed that up with the fact that Carr wants a second team to get involved. Is that second team the Panthers? Is that second team the Jets? Is that second team maybe a team that nobody else is really talking about right now? And speaking of the Panthers, Frank Reich sat down and had an interview on the NFL Network, and he actually came out and said, no, the Panthers have not offered Derek Carr a contract. When they met with him that first time at the Combine, he met with all of the, big dogs in the Panthers organization, obviously Reich, the owner, all of the major decision makers, and they came away from the meeting saying that it went well, but no contract was offered. So it does seem like the Saints and the Jets are ahead of Carolina in the Derek Carr sweepstakes, if you will. So if the Panthers want to change that and, all of a sudden have a change of heart and really want to go heavily, they want to pursue Carr aggressively, keep in mind it's March 4th, Saturday, right? So legal tampering period begins on the 13th, and the tag deadline is Tuesday, where there's some quarterbacks that could be tagged. Daniel Jones from the Giants, Lamar Jackson from the Ravens. What's going on with that situation? Geno Smith from the Seahawks is another quarterback that could get tagged. So, from Carolina's perspective, there's so much happening here with the position. And also we have to factor in that the Panthers have been linked to numerous quarterbacks and potentially trading up in the draft. So Carolina is the complete wild card to me right now. But let's just say, right, let's just take the numbers that we know, some of the numbers that we've been given that have been linked to Carr. high end, low end, where would he rank within the hierarchy of contracts in the NFL among starting quarterbacks? So let's talk about Derek Carr's best case scenario, the high end, right? Let's assume Rodgers sticks with the Packers. Teams are calling about Carr. His market shoots up, $40 million a season. Where would that put him? Well, we look towards the back half of the top 10. Matthew Stafford is on average getting $40 million a season. He originally signed that 4-year contract worth $160, $135 million guaranteed. At spot number 8, so right behind Stafford, we have Dak Prescott, 4 years, $160, only difference, $95 million guaranteed. So I think best case scenario for Carr, he would become the new spot number 8, if that makes sense. I don't think he's going to get 135 guaranteed, but I do feel like he could get more than 95 guaranteed over a 4-year span. So I would say best case scenario, Derek Carr would be the 8th highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Now let's look at Derek Carr for what he was reported to be asking for, right? $35 million a season. Where would that slot him? He would be behind Dak Prescott in the number 9 spot. Okay, because who's originally in the 9th spot right now, today, it's Jared Goff, who signed a 4-year contract worth $134, $57 million guaranteed, which is on average around $33.5 million. But keep in mind, he did sign this deal back in 2019, so, at the time, that was a humongous deal. It's still a massive deal, but with what some of these guys are getting paid now, a couple of years later, Jared Goff's deal doesn't look as massive, especially in the guaranteed market. So if we, assuming it's the Jets here, if the Jets bring Derek Carr in 4 years, $35 million on average, he would be the 9th highest paid quarterback in the game. Now let's factor in more of a team-friendly deal, right? Albert Breer suggesting, hey, maybe 32, 33. Jared Goff, like we said, averaging $33.5 million on average with the $57 million guaranteed. At spot number 10, we actually have Kirk Cousins here, who's on a 2-year deal worth $66 million, $31 million guaranteed. And then that obviously equates to $33 million on average. Behind him at spot number 11, we have Matt Ryan, who's on a 5-year deal. Obviously, that deal was signed years ago here, but he's still one of the highest paid quarterbacks in football, right around $30 million on average a season. So I think overall, right, macro perspective, worst case scenario, Derek Carr is probably going to be the 8th highest paid quarterback in football, assuming he doesn't get like a fully guaranteed contract or anything like that. Again, to beat that Matthew Stafford 135 guaranteed. But worst case, or I guess team-friendly deal, best case scenario for the team, worst case financially for Derek Carr, we're looking right around 11-10. Right, with that $30 to $32, $33 million on average. I think a fair deal for Derek, 4 years, $140 in total, $100 million guaranteed. That would make Derek Carr the 9th highest paid quarterback in football, $35 million on average. And of course, it's a lot in guaranteed money. But at the end of the day, if you map it out, right, if you put it on a timeline, you're basically saying, okay, Derek Carr is guaranteed to be the Jets' starting quarterback for at the least 2 years. 3 years, probably 4th year you can get out of it because the guaranteed money is up. If that's the case, right? If that's again, assuming worst case scenario, the Jets want to move off of Derek Carr. But, think about it. 4 years from now, is a 4-year, $140 million really going to be all that much in the grand scheme of things? I mean, Jared Goff's contract was crazy when he signed it back in 2019. It's 2022 now, and we're looking at that $57 million in guaranteed, looking at it like it's chump change, right? That's not that much at all when we're talking about what young quarterbacks are getting on the market, or at least guys that are, in their early 30s or late 20s. So I'll leave it there. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. What are you thinking is going to happen with Derek Carr? What would you feel comfortable paying him realistically? Of course, I would love to get him at like $20 million annually, but realistically speaking, it's just not going to happen with him being a free agent. I think $20 million, we're looking at, somebody like Ryan Tannehill or Jimmy Garoppolo, somebody like that. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Jets.